Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com. Now, recently at ClassicsToday.com, our very own Jed Distler wrote a very positive review of this recording on Warner Erato, featuring harpsichordist Jean Rondeau playing a wonderful mixed program called Gradus ad Parnassum. And the gimmick, if you want to call it that, in this program, is that it consists of very, very early music and some very, very late music, and more particularly piano music played on the harpsichord, as it very well might have been, some of it anyway, at the time that it was composed. We're talking about some works by Beethoven, some works by Haydn. I mean, it wasn't like people just threw away their harpsichords when the piano became popular. Not at all. They used them. They kept using them. They used them until their frets frayed and their quills plucked and their plectra plecked and everything just went to pieces. But they were used and they played whatever music they had. And so it's really a very, very cool idea, I think, to do some of these works on the harpsichord, which certainly could have been played, but there's one exception, a big exception, which we'll get to in a moment. So let's talk first about the title. The title, Gradus ad Parnassum, which means, steps to Parnassus, is the famous counterpoint treatise by the composer Fuchs, F-U-X, the Viennese composer from the 17th century. And it was the textbook that everybody had to work through, usually by themselves. It wasn't taught. In those days, you didn't really learn composition. You bought the book and you worked on it yourself. And, you apprenticed yourself to some horrifying practicing musician who beat the crap out of you. And then you looked at your Fuchs and hopefully learned how to write music and how to do counterpoint. Well, yes, he did that. And one of the pieces about Gradus ad Parnassum that's quite famous is the first part of Debussy's Children's Corner, which I happened to play. I played it on the piano. Oh, I loved playing that piece. It was wonderful because it didn't involve a lot of left-hand work for a real klutz like I was. You just went boom, boom. Then the right hand's it's wonderful. Anyway, the fun thing about it, though, is that it is an imitation, an evocation, possible evocation anyway, of harpsichord music of the past. And so Monsieur Rondeau plays it on the harpsichord. It sounds delicious, I have to say. I love it on the harpsichord. It's not a huge, dynamic and touch kind of thing. It's a pattern piece. And so it works very, very well on the harpsichord. But let's talk about what else is in here. I mean, this is really cool stuff. Let me tell you what's on the program. And when Jed recommends something, I always run out and buy it. I just do, because not only is his taste absolutely second to none and his knowledge of the keyboard repertoire, as wonderful as anybody's ever has been, but I just know when he says something is great, it's going to be great. And so it's a wonderful way to acquire piano music and keyboard music particularly that I would not normally notice or have an opportunity to listen to because I spend most of my time doing other things. That's what you need colleagues for, and friends, musical friends, whether they're critics or not critics, but people who you trust, people who can help encompass this enormous, vast, crazy, infinite expanse of classical music and the tons and tons of stuff that's coming out all the time. So what do we have here? We begin with Palestrina, his Ricercar del Primo Tuono. Yeah, why not? And then we have some Fuchs, his Harpeggio. Let's have some sort of number, an F number or something. Who knows? It doesn't matter. The interesting thing about Fuchs is that although he had a reputation for being unbelievably grim and formidable as a theorist, his music is actually delightful. He's kind of like Rameau in that respect. Rameau wrote a big theory treatise and people were terrified to even talk to him. But his music was so vibrant and full of life. That's true of Fuchs too. It's very, very good music, just very enjoyable. Then we have the Haydn Sonata in A flat, which is Hoboken 46. This is a big work. Really, a series of 27 minutes long with all the repeats and all that stuff. A gorgeous, gorgeous rich, wonderful keyboard work, and it sounds lovely here in its harpsichord version. I mean, I kind of like it on the piano too. It works really well both ways. And then Clementi, his Introduzione and Andante Malinconico. Just a delightful little 2 minutes, and it comes from his collection of studies called Gradus ad Parnassum. People used it a lot. It was not a proprietary or copyrighted name. So we've got some Clementi, then Beethoven's Prelude number 2 through all the major keys, Opus 39 number 2, and then the Debussy, which is just fun, and Debussy Prelude in F minor without Opus 55, and then another Clementi study, number 14, Adagio Sostenuto. Clementi provides the touching affect and the slow music here. And then a couple Mozart pieces, his D minor Fantasia, Kerschel 397, and the Andante from the Piano Sonata number 16 in C. You know which one that is. That's the Easy Sonata. And here it is on the harpsichord. And let's see what else. That's Kerschel 545, right? You know that. And then we have, let's see, another Fuchs, the Chaconne, big 10-minute beefy thing. A chaconne is like a passacaglia. That is a series of variations over a repeated bass line. The difference between the two is technical and not interesting. We don't need to deal with it. And then it ends again with Palestrina, a Ricercar del Secondo Tuono, after the primo tuono. This is all lovely music, interesting music, a fantastic program assembled with intelligence and imagination, and if I can get the booklet back in here, daring, I would say, a little bit of risk-taking, and it's unique, and that's a wonderful thing. You know, in this business where tons and tons and tons of stuff is always coming out, and it all sounds the same, right? More or less. Well, this doesn't. So, Jean Rondeau, amazing stuff. Oh, by the way, I'm always fascinated by the artwork that comes with these things. Monsieur Rondeau is in here. There he is. Love the photo. I just love the photo. It looks like he's just, come back from one of those reality survival shows where they like dump you in the woods for like 2 weeks and you have to, kill things and drink your own urine and, somehow make it until you can get back to civilization. Well, he survived musically and however. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.